So growing up in food, so tell me about your dad's garden and what you loved about it.
Okay, well, my dad's garden was actually, I guess it was more than a garden if you think about it. I mean, it was really a part of my childhood because for my dad, gardening wasn't a hobby, it was like his passion. You know, I mean, like this is what he loved, and so our garden was huge. And so, I mean, literally every day he was out there doing something. And so it was like us kids, there was me and my two sisters, my brother, we were out there constantly. And so it's kind of one of those things that I feel like his garden kind of represents a piece of my childhood, you know? Because it's like whether we were out helping him pick things, plant things, he even did like corn and soybeans, so we would ride on the tractor with him. It was just, I mean, like, that was what our life was kind of revolved around, almost in a good way.
Yeah.
And then we even had like a little stand behind our house. We kind of lived out in the country on about 50 acres, so it was kind of in the country, and so we had this little stand, and people would drive up the road, and we just have it out in the back. And, you know, people would come up and there's a box that said, help yourself, put the money in the box. But us kids would always be, you know, they'd ring the doorbell, we'd make change for them, we'd do whatever. And it was so funny because when I was home this weekend, my dad told me, he's like, I saw one of the people, he even said her name. He's like, remember so-and-so? He's like, I saw her, she asked about you. She was wondering, you know, she's like, she remembered watching you grow up learning how to count change. So, I mean, it was just like, it was kind of what I feel like is like, the foundation of kind of my childhood, which is so weird, but...
Oh, it's great though. So is there any time of year in particular that stands out to you more than others, that you relate more to that time? You know what I mean? Is it harvest, or is it planting, or is it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for us, it was more about the harvesting, you know, because my sister even joked about it this weekend. We were talking about strawberries for some reason, and she's like, do you remember having to kneel in that straw and it'd be stuck in our knees and we were picking the strawberries? So even though like some of the times we talk about it, it's like we're complaining, it still brings up all the good memories. So for us, it was more about the harvesting, I think. You know, the picking of, especially like strawberries, blackberries. I mean, we would help pick like peppers and tomatoes and things, but it seemed like a lot of the fruits, and then potatoes. We always joke about potatoes because my dad would dig them, and then we'd all have to go around and help pick them up. And I used to always complain that it was like picking them up, that dirt gave me the chills. And I was always like, I can't pick the potatoes. And so still, like literally this weekend, my dad was packing potatoes for me, and my sister says, don't touch them.
Oh, that's funny.
Jan is going to get the chill. So it's like I feel like just every day, normal conversation takes us back to that.
Oh,
and it
so
really
nice.
is more about, I think, the harvesting. You know?
So how do you try to connect back with that since you don't live near them?
You know, that's a hard one. One thing, there's a couple things. I do have to tell you though, one year when I first moved here, because I didn't know anything but homegrown produce my whole life. I mean, we made our own jellies, we made our own tomato sauces, we made our own grape juice. I mean, everything. We blanched all our own vegetables, put them in the freezer. So it was like, I didn't know anything. So I moved here, and I mean, literally, I had to go to the store and start buying this stuff, and I like called home. I'm like, it's not the same, you know? So that first year, my parents actually boxed up tomatoes and produce. They like bubble wrapped them, and they would send them to me. I mean, it was incredibly expensive. And I was like, that's enough. You don't have to keep doing it. But the thing that we did this year is me and my daughter, she's 7, I decided, I was like, I kept telling my dad, I said, gosh, if she lived near you, I know she would love this. And like, this is her personality, is kind of nurture and grow and, you know, take care of things. And I was like, I know she would love it, and you two could bond over. I mean, it just broke my heart. So me and her went, and we got 2 tomato plants and 2 strawberry plants, and we have a dog that eats everything. So we just outside the fence put a little whiskey barrel and planted our few little plants. And I mean, it has been the highlight of our summer. We go out together, we talk about what's going on, we count how many green ones were on there waiting. And the first ones we picked, I mean, it was a huge ordeal. We had to call my dad. It's all about my dad. We called him right away, and we would like, guess what? We got a tomato. And so, I mean, it's like, I feel like part of it was just, you know, there's just something about, I felt like growing it with her that kind of took me back to me and my dad doing these kind of things together.
Oh, that's perfect.
So that was definitely the thing that I think brought it home the most. I mean, I'll go to the farmer's market and walk around, and I always look for the farmer. This is going to sound so weird. I always look for the stand that has the slightly older man in like kind of dirty little overalls
Oh,
or jeans.
yes, me
and if
too.
he's got a little dirty hat, that makes it
I
even
know.
better. Because it just feels like my dad.
I know.
So I'll go looking for those guys at the farmer's market. But that's kind of how I've done it so far.
Well, that's perfect.